Don Crain and the 2nd Amphibious Tractor Battalion were among the first wave of Marines to hit Red Beach 2 at Tarawa. Although he dressed like one of Tarawa's most celebrated heroes, no history book mentions him by name. This is the story of Don Crain, an unknown American hero who drove a first-wave Amtrak into the eye of the Tarawa cyclone, landing on the Marines' bloodiest across-the-reef landing beach during World War II. In October 1941, Don Crain turned 17 and celebrated by heading straight to the Marine Corps recruitment station. Despite various reasons preventing his 3 taller and stronger brothers from passing the Marine physical, Don passed. Before the conflict, the Marines had a quota system, allowing only 10 or 12 guys from Montana to sign up each month. Rejected 3 times in October, November, and December, Don finally saw his birthday request fulfilled after the quota system was abandoned following Pearl Harbor. He enrolled in the USNC in January 1942, joining 22,186 other young men from across the nation. After completing 6 weeks of boot camp in San Diego, Don was commissioned as a United States Marine. Though he never imagined the battle and the enormous human cost involved, he expected to be thrust into conflict with the Japanese. In October 1942, Don was deployed to New Zealand as a member of the 2nd Marine Division's Special Weapons Platoon, assigned to B Battery. One thrilling day broke up the monotony of the convoy's 22-day journey aboard the President Monroe. "We noticed ships on the horizon south of the equator," Don recalled. "We believed the Japanese Navy was involved." Then came the announcement over the loudspeaker that they were witnessing Eddie Rickenbacker being hauled up by Navy ships. The leading American fighter ace of World War I, Rickenbacker, had been stranded for 24 days after ditching his Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. When the Monroe team arrived in New Zealand, the 2nd Marine Division received orders from the Joint Chiefs of Staff to take control of Tarawa. In July 1943, Operations Officer David Shoup faced 2 extremely difficult obstacles: a wide, shallow fringing reef that couldn't ensure the 3 feet of water needed by the Marines' primary landing craft, the LCBP or Higgins boat, and concentrated fortified Japanese defenses along the beach. Shoup had a daring notion. Could an amphibious attack be led by the Marines using their first-generation amphibious tractor, which was underpowered, thin-skinned, and solely designed to move supplies beyond enemy lines, but packed with soldiers? Shoup's audacious query had the power to alter both the Pacific War and Don Crain's life. Shoup was hard at work planning for Tarawa as the Marines enjoyed Kiwi hospitality. Devoted to a landing vehicle tracked attack, he required Marines to staff the amphibious vehicle in its new capacity. Don was assigned to C Company's 2nd Amphibious Tractor Battalion in August 1943. Despite his lack of experience with amphibious tractors, he had a great first date with the $35,000, 23-ton machine. "I found the vehicle fascinating," he remembered. Don started his intensive training to become an LV-1 driver. Less than 3 months later, he operated a first-wave Amtrak at Tarawa, pushing across a coral reef and under Japanese gun muzzles. Don's LV-1 and 9 other Amtraks slated for the first wave were lifted onto the assault transport Virgo in Wellington, New Zealand, in late October. The tractor was fitted with 3 machine guns and armored with quarter-inch steel to fortify the cab and sides in preparation for the assault. The next destination was Efate, New Hebrides, for 2 days of invasion practice. When one of the LV-1s malfunctioned, Don assisted in relocating it to the Virgo. On November 13, Virgo left Efate, and the assault Marines learned that Tarawa was their objective. "Before we arrived, a handful of the lads had never heard of New Zealand. We had never heard of Tarawa," Don recalled. "The captains and lieutenants predicted that no Japanese would survive the bombardment and shelling. They assured us it would be simple," Don noted. Don was instructed to land 20 Marines from the 2nd Regiment on Red Beach 2 in the initial wave. Red Beach 2 was fortified with gun pits, concrete tetrahedrons, barbed wire, sandbag positions, and coconut log-reinforced strong points. These defenses were manned by elite Japanese Imperial Marines from the 7th Special Naval Landing Forces, tasked with destroying every American on the beach. Arriving off Tarawa in the early hours of November 20, 1943, Virgo was shrouded in darkness. "I still remember praying, trying to sleep, and eating steak and eggs," Don reminisced. After hoisting LV-41 over the side, Don led it to the open sea rendezvous location, Assault Marines from Higgins boats cross-decked into Amtraks. Each LV-21 was supposed to carry 18 assault Marines, but 20 crammed themselves into LV-41 like sardines. The riflemen stood shoulder to shoulder, fully loaded for action. The Marines were submerged by ocean waves due to the LVT's short freeboard. The TR-laden LVTs organized into 3 lengthy single-file lines. At 6:48 a.m., the first wave's 42 LVT-1 has bobbed on the starboard side. The second and third waves, consisting of 24 and 21 LVT-2s, scuttled along the port side. LV-41's placement to the right of center in the first wave line would place Crain in the middle of the deepest part of Tarawa's beach, although he was unaware of this at the time. Don had to battle a headwind and current to make his way through the lagoon channel, guided by the searchlight of a minesweeper. Virgo's distance to the line of departure was about 9 miles, making it the longest ship-to-shore transit of any Pacific War invasion. Unaware that he was about to confront the most intense concentrated firestorm the Japanese had yet to unleash on the Marines in the Pacific, Don spent hours holed up behind the controls of LV-41. The apocalypse unleashed by Navy battleships started soon before sunrise. The small island was besieged by 16-inch shells that burst into sand and flames for over 3 hours, making a noise akin to freight trains passing across the sky, he recalled. When the battleships paused, carrier aircraft bombed and strafed. Through the thin slit of the cab's armor plating, Don first saw the islet of Bisio, one of Tarawa's numerous spits of land. His spirits were raised when he saw that the Navy was keeping its word to blast Tarawa into the sea. Bisio appeared to be a funeral pyre, smoking and burning. However, Don's reliable Springfield M1903 rifle was kept on the deck, and directly behind him, holding one of the cab's 50 caliber machine guns, was Lieutenant Bonnie Little. Lil had said in a letter to his wife that the Marines have a way of making you afraid not of dying, but of not doing your job. Don watched as the shroud of smoke was blown away by the tropical breeze. For a moment, a faint chill went down his spine. Defiant and threatening, the island loomed over the lagoon. Japanese Marines, concealed in their pillboxes and bunkers, waited for the Americans to approach. 24 hours later, at 6,000 yards offshore, the first wave LV-21 column turned right and passed the line of departure, leaving a white foaming wake behind. Don heard the order to lock and load from behind him as riflemen thrust safeties forward and jammed 8-round clips into M1 Garand rifles. Lieutenant Little pushed back on the cocking lever of his machine gun. The assault Marines on board LV-41 had the common responsibility to get ashore fast, advance, eliminate any remaining enemy, and seize the island. Don also had the responsibility to drive his human cargo to safety. Don managed to get 3.5 knots from the 150 horsepower Hercules engine to reach Red Beach 2. He turned his vessel west of the central pier, but the stream dragged him further to the right. Restless silence fell for a few minutes. The Japanese bided their time, and the Marines had nowhere to aim. To prevent incidents of friendly fire, the Navy's aircraft and ships ceased to operate. Japanese airbursts pelted the Amtrak as Don approached the coast at a distance of 3,000 yards. Dreams of an unopposed attack vanished. Don adjusted his helmet and looked at his assistant driver on the right and his radio operator on the left. The LVTs had reached the reef. In retrospect, the Japanese overestimated Tarawa's reef, while the Americans misplaced trust in their pre-invasion bombardment. The Japanese watched in disbelief as the gangly amphibians waded out of the lagoon, grabbed onto the shallow coral and sand of the reef, and churned forward. Instead of stopping at the reef, the vehicles pressed on. When the Japanese recovered from their shock, they threw a wall of enraged steel at the amphibians, swatting viciously. This revealed the pre-invasion bombardment's deficiencies. Many Japanese were still alive, and many of their weapons were in good condition. Don felt like a duck in a shooting gallery. Without air power or naval fire to keep the Japanese at bay, his Amtrak scrabbled across the open reef, picking up speed as its tracks gripped the sand and coral. Our left was the pier, Don remembered. I saw rounds coming through the side and our bow. To our right, the bravery and sacrifices of Don Crain and his comrades were emblematic of the greatest generation, as they faced unimaginable horrors and demonstrated unparalleled courage. Don's experiences at Tarawa and later battles showcased the tremendous personal cost and heroism involved in the Pacific War. Following the Battle of Tarawa, Don continued to serve with distinction. He made 14 shuttle trips on Tinian, earned a Bronze Star for his actions in his LV-2 at Saipan, and survived an explosion at Pearl Harbor while aboard LSTs headed for Saipan. His dedication and resilience exemplified the spirit of the Marine Corps and the profound sense of duty shared by those who served. The sacrifices of Don Crain and his fellow Marines were not in vain. Their actions helped secure pivotal victories in the Pacific, contributing to the eventual defeat of the Japanese forces. The lessons learned from the Battle of Tarawa influenced future amphibious operations, ultimately saving countless lives in subsequent campaigns. In the years following the war, Don Crain's legacy continued to inspire. His story, though not widely known, is a testament to the countless unsung heroes who played critical roles in shaping history. The bravery of individuals like Don, who faced overwhelming odds with determination and selflessness, is a powerful reminder of the human capacity for courage and sacrifice. Your personal connection to Don Crain adds a profound layer of meaning to his story. Hearing these accounts directly from him allowed you to appreciate the depth of his experiences and the strength of his character. It's clear that his legacy lives on in your family, serving as a source of pride and inspiration. As you remember Don Crain and his contributions, it's important to share his story with others. By doing so, you ensure that the sacrifices of the greatest generation are never forgotten and that future generations understand the true cost of the freedoms they enjoy today. Let's delve deeper into Don Crain's remarkable journey and the broader context of his service during World War II. Don Crain was born in 1924, and by the time he turned 17 in October 1941, the world was engulfed in war. Determined to serve his country, Don went straight to the Marine Corps recruitment station. Despite initial rejections due to a quota system, Pearl Harbor's attack in December 1941 changed everything. The quota was lifted, and Don's persistence paid off. He finally enlisted in January 1942, joining a wave of young men eager to defend their country. After completing 6 weeks of boot camp in San Diego, Don was officially a United States Marine. He was part of the 2nd Marine Division's Special Weapons Platoon, assigned to B Battery. The monotony of their journey was occasionally broken by exciting events, such as witnessing the rescue of World War I hero Eddie Rickenbacker, who had been stranded at sea for 24 days after ditching his plane. In October 1942, Don was deployed to New Zealand. There, he and his fellow Marines enjoyed the hospitality of the locals while preparing for the inevitable clash with Japanese forces. By July 1943, they received orders to take control of Tarawa, a heavily fortified atoll in the Gilbert Islands. Tarawa was a strategic objective, but its defenses were formidable. The island was surrounded by a wide, shallow fringing reef, and its beaches were heavily fortified by Japanese forces. Marine Operations Officer David Shoup had a daring plan to use amphibious tractors, LVTs, for the assault, despite their original design as cargo carriers rather than combat vehicles. Don Crain was assigned to C Company, 2nd Amphibious Tractor Battalion, in August 1943. Despite his lack of experience with LVTs, he quickly adapted and found the vehicle fascinating. He trained intensively and was soon ready to operate an LVT in the upcoming battle. In late October, Don's LVT-1, designated LVT-41, was fitted with machine guns and reinforced with steel plating. The Marines practiced their invasion techniques in the New Hebrides before setting out for Tarawa. In the early hours of November 20, 1943, the assault began. Don's LVT-41 was part of the first wave, tasked with landing 20 Marines on Red Beach 2. As they approached the island, they faced a withering hail of gunfire from Japanese defenders. Despite the intense resistance, Don managed to steer his Amtrak across the reef and towards the beach. The initial bombardment by Navy battleships had failed to neutralize many of the Japanese defenses, and the Marines found themselves under heavy fire. Don's LVT-41 was hit multiple times, killing his assistant driver and radio operator. Don continued to drive, navigating through a storm of bullets and explosions. Upon reaching the beach, Don discovered that the Marines in the cargo hold had also perished during the assault. He managed to escape with 2 other survivors, both injured, and took cover behind a low seawall. The battle for Tarawa raged on for 76 hours, resulting in the deaths of approximately 4,000 Japanese defenders and over 1,000 Marines. Red Beach 2, where Don landed, was one of the bloodiest battlefields of the war. Despite the heavy losses, the Marines eventually secured the island. The bravery and tenacity displayed by Don and his comrades were instrumental in this hard-fought victory. Don Crain's service did not end with Tarawa. He went on to participate in several other key battles in the Pacific theater. He made 14 shuttle trips on Tinian, earned a Bronze Star for his actions at Saipan, and survived an explosion at Pearl Harbor. Throughout his service, Don demonstrated exceptional bravery and resilience, contributing significantly to the Allied war effort. Don Crain's story is one of heroism and sacrifice. Though not widely known, his actions and those of his fellow Marines played a crucial role in the Pacific War. The lessons learned from battles like Tarawa helped shape future military strategies and saved countless lives in subsequent operations. Your connection to Don Crain adds a deeply personal dimension to this history. By sharing his story, you help preserve the memory of his bravery and ensure that future generations understand the sacrifices made by the greatest generation. Don's legacy is a testament to the courage and determination of those who served, and it continues to inspire and honor the values they fought to protect.